today, myself, Davion Barnes, and Nicholas Weisenberg, we're going to present, Weisensale. We're going to present Imperialism, Industrialization, and Global War in the 20th Century. Our thesis basically states that the world we live in today has been meticulously shaped throughout numerous global wars and rapid industrialization throughout the 20th century. Before the Spanish-American War, the U.S. had no colonies or much recognized power pretty much at all. And therefore, the Spanish-American War, the Treaties of Paris, is signed, and the U.S. gains a few colonies and major global power influence over the world. World War I technology shows us that the chemical warfare was a big part of the World War I. The chlorine, the mustard gases, was used to suffocate the enemies and pull them out of their holes everywhere they were hiding. They came out because of World War I. The chemical warfare is a war crime today. We cannot use that today. World War I brought new technologies like the planes, the tanks, the machine guns, and excuse me, but it had more influence throughout World War II.
This is me, or is your last one?
Also, there were strong alliances between European powers that formed, and the most important parts carried throughout the World War II. World War I was the beginning of the next era of war.
Alright, so in World War I, some of the technologies include the submarines. They became a very part of World War I because they were used to fight the German U-boats. They also were, this also are still very important in the U.S. technology today as far as the military war. Okay, in 1992, Britain started to decolonize the, I can't see, it's so whitewashed. Decolonization of Egypt. In 1922, they finally removed themselves fully, leaving some of the spheres of influence. And after that, they withdraw from the Suez Canal in 1936. All right, so Mussolini set the tone for what is fascism in Europe as would be today. Adolf Hitler is another important figure. He took inspiration from Mussolini, and he used his large influence to bring in the Holocaust, which was one of the most negative features of World War II. After World War II, fascism will forever be tied with Nazi Germany and the Axis power of World War II. In World War II, the technologies include more of the plane and sea combination, so they built bigger boats to carry flights of planes. A lot of the fighting was done in the air. Is that me? Do I stop here?
You can do this.
All right. World War II also brought a lot of medicine. A lot of it's still used today, and a lot of the procedures are still caught on. The antibiotics are still used, such as penicillin, and it's very effective against stopping infections and continues to save lives today. Blood transfusions and the Red Cross blood program also started during World War II.
All right, during the unrest in the years leading up to World War II, people knew there was a war was going to happen and everything. So manufacturing of wartime goods kind of like boosted the economy and pulled the nation out of the Depression and all that kind of stuff. And after that, there were all these jobs that were still there, and people were still working in these manufacturing businesses, and people were preparing for another war with like nuclear bombs and all that kind of stuff with Russia. So that kind of boosted the economy after World War II as well. All right, after World War II, Britain didn't have the resources to fight another colonial war, so in the August of 1947, India was granted its independence after decades of British racism, Indian resistance through civil disobedience with things like the salt marches and stuff like that. All right, after the invention and use of the first atomic bomb in World War II, every country with power pretty much wanted nuclear bombs to defend themselves. And that's kind of what set the new tone for what war would be in the 20th and 21st century. And during the Cold War, Germany was split into two sections, divided up between Russia and the NATO powers. And yeah, that was a big disturbance in the world. And, yeah. Okay, as tensions grew between both sides, nations fought like proxy wars and stuff. There was never really a big war between the US and Russia, but the threat of nuclear bombs was still kind of lingering in the air, and that's part of what has spread the fear of nuclear attacks and stuff that's still carried in the air today. Okay, and yeah, without the Cold War, we wouldn't have all this nuclear bomb stuff, and there'd probably be a lot more wars fought like World War II, but with the newer technology we have. The nuclear bombs just kind of stop us from having an all-out war again.
During the 20th century, the Cold War beneath the United States and the USSR, the space race, pretty much brought forth the new technology advancements, the atomic fear, and pretty much a big threat to the world. So all that happened, of course, still during the Cold War. In the space race, excuse me, ever since the first satellite launched, it was back in 1957, that's when thousands of people, different things started happening in space, and people would send out, different countries would send out their support and spy missions and things like that. So it started happening way back in 1957. And so therefore space travel began, therefore different things started happening out in orbit as far as wars go.
That's it, yeah.